Hi, my name is Sandile Mkwenya. I'm an education student from the University of Pretoria. My student number is 22736 I'm presenting to you all my brain model. In my OPV 122 badge assignment, I used an A4 drawing paper, a cardboard, and then colored highlighters for the overview of my brain. What's significant about this 2D brain model is the bright colors that represent each part of the brain. In this overview of the brain structure and its functions, on the pink side we have the frontal lobe. It's responsible for thinking, memory, and behavior and movement. On the green colored side we have the parietal lobe. It's responsible for language and touch. On the blue colored part we have the occipital lobe. It's responsible for sight. In the green and white side, we have the cerebellum. It's responsible for balance and coordination. On this dark colored side, we have the brainstem. It is responsible for breathing, heart rate, and temperature. On this orange colored side, we have the temporal lobe. It is responsible for hearing, learning, and feeling. When making the brain, I had an interesting question. The question is, how does the brain interpret colors? So the brain uses light signals detected by the retina's cone photoreceptors as the building blocks for color perception. Three types of cone photoreceptors detect light over a range of wavelengths. The brain mixes and categorizes these signals to perceive color in a process that is not well understood. Here are the three aspects I have learned when creating the brain. The first aspect, the brain is divided into a left and right hemisphere by a deep groove that runs from the front of the head to the back. This groove is called the great longitudinal fissure. The second aspect that I have come to realize is that the brain is like an engine. The brain's motor system is contained mostly in the frontal lobes. It starts with the premotor areas from planning and coordinating complex movements. The third aspect, when I was creating this brain, what I've learned about myself is that I like bright colors because colors can alter your mood. What I find interesting about the brain is that color impacts the brain because it can greatly affect our physiology, and since it influences anxiety, pulse, and blood flow and arousal. Another thing that I found interesting when I was creating the brain is that the human eye and brain together translate light into color, which means the brain works in hand with other organs in the human body. Another interesting thing when I was creating the brain is that the brain is a pinkish and grayish color, and that's thanks to the parts that compose it. Most of the brain is made of cells called the gray matter that are in fact gray. I would like to share 11 fun facts about the brain. Fact number 1, 60% of the human brain is made up of fat. Not only does that make it the fastest organ in the human body, but these fatty acids are crucial for your brain's performance. Make sure you're filling in them appropriately with healthy brain boosting nutrients. Fact number 2, your brain isn't fully formed until age 25. Brain development begins from the back of the brain and works its way to the front. Therefore, your frontal lobes, which control planning and reasoning, are the last of the strength and structure connections. Third interesting fact, your brain storage capacity is considered vitally unlimited. Research suggests the human brain consists of about 86 billion neurons, and each neuron forms connections to the other neuron, which could add up to 1 quadrillion or 10 trillion connections. Over time, these neurons can combine, increase storage capacity. However, in Alzheimer's disease, for example, many neurons can be damaged and stop working, particularly affecting memory. The fourth fun fact of the brain. Brain information travels up to an impressive 268 miles per hour. When a neuron is stimulated, it generates an electrical impulse that travels from cell to cell. A disruption in this regular process can cause epileptic seizure. The fifth fun fact about the brain. On average, your spinal cord stops growing at 4 years old. Your spinal cord, which consists of a bundle of nervous tissues and support cells, is responsible for sending messages from your brain throughout your body. The sixth fun fact. The brain spinal cord is the main source of communication between the body and the brain. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, known as ALS, causes the neurons in the brain and spinal cord to die, impacting controlled muscles and movement. Another disease that affects both the brain and the spinal cord is multiple sclerosis, abbreviated as MS. In MS, the immune system attacks the protective layer that covers the nerve fibers, causing communication problems between the brain and the body. Fun fact number 7. It's a myth that you only use 10% of your brain. You actually use all of it. Yes, even when you are sleeping. Neurologists confirm that your brain is always active. Interesting fact 8. The human brain weighs up to 3 pounds. That's about as much as a half gallon of milk. However, size does not always imply intelligence. Men tend to have larger brain than women. Fun fact 9. A brain freeze is really a pain in the brain. This pain occurs when cold hits the receptors in the outer covering of the brain, called the meninges. The cold creates a dilation and constriction of arteries, causing a rapid onset headache. Fun fact 10. A piece of brain tissue the size of a grain of sand contains 10,000 neurons and 1 billion synapses. However, damage to neurons can have great impact. During a stroke, for example, blood is not able to get oxygen to the brain. As a result, the brain cells can die, and the ability in that particular area of the brain can be lost. Similarly to Parkinson's disease occurs when that cell of a part of your brain called the substantia nigra start to die. Fun fact 11. The human brain can generate up to 23 watts of power, enough to light a light bulb. All that power calls for some much needed rest. Adequate sleep helps maintain the pathways in your brain. Additionally, sleep deprivation can increase the buildup of a protein in your brain that is linked to Alzheimer's disease. So my advice to you, your brain is a big job. Be sure you take care of it.